the Marathon Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Michael Doyle, and I'm joined, as always, by my pals, Katelyn Tocci and Alex Sear. And today we're going to talk about how we choose our races, how we create our seasonal race plan, and how we think you should as well. But before we get into that, Alex, I've got a very pressing question for you. You're our reporter on the ground, representing those under the age of 30, at least for a couple more weeks.
For a month.
For 3 more weeks.
3 weeks, okay.
20 days.
Okay, dude, what's the deal with your generation and mustaches? I need to know.
You've been noticing more mustaches from the young
that's a
crowd.
good
That's what you're
question.
saying.
There's a lot of mustaches out there right now. There's a lot of mustaches on the trails. There's a lot of mustaches
There are.
in race photos. A lot of mustaches on Instagram. What's the deal with the mustache?
Well, for that, let's ask a question.
Okay.
Were there many mustaches like 40 years ago? Because fashion trends are cyclical. It's like a 40-year. So was
There
it
were many mustaches 40 years ago.
There
My
were.
dad definitely
My
had
dad-
a mustache. Yeah.
My dad had a mustache, I have to say. Yes.
Okay, I think it's just coming back. You know what's weird is I actually think that I was 10 years early on the trend. I don't keep a mustache. I haven't for about a decade. But when I was a college student, I thought it was the coolest thing ever to grow a mustache. Probably because I wasn't actually able to grow a mustache. So what I would do
Oh,
while I was on the cross country team, and it was like a facial hair thing. You try to like grow crazy facial hair, and it's like what you do when you show up to the national championship. You try to look kind of, I don't know, feral. And so I could grow like little blonde hairs on my lip, but not enough for it to be visible while on the race course. And so I bought this, like, I went to like this drugstore and bought Just for Men, which is essentially hair dye.
Hair dye.
Because I was like, well, I can make this hair a bit more visible. But what I didn't realize is that you have to match your hair color with the hair dye.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's a thing.
I'm like like what they call it, like strawberry blonde, dirty blonde, kind of like a mix between blonde and brown hair. But I thought that if I would get the jet black Just for Men, it would stand out more. So I got this jet black Just
sure
for Men
did.
and colored like the 26 hairs on my lip, and then ended up looking like an Italian porn star.
Oh, amazing. Totally amazing. Italian specifically.
Are there
I
photos?
like it.
Are there photos
There-
of this,
there-
Alex?
There are. So
Okay.
I will out myself. Like in a past life, I wrote a book about my own running, and I am on the cover along with a few teammates. And on the cover, I'm wearing this like faux stash, which is basically just like dyed skin. Michael's looking through his bookshelf because I think he might
have a
Do you
copy of
have
the
it?
book.
I must
Signed
see this.
by the author, first edition.
Wow.
There you go.
Somewhere on
I've-
the shelves here.
I
Yes.
have a copy somewhere here too, but I don't know where it is.
Oh,
And
how convenient.
yeah, this is the other thing. When you dye a mustache, make sure that you have enough hair, because if you don't, you're just painting your skin, and that stings. So I think I like burned the skin under my stash, and maybe that's why I can't grow a mustache. I don't know. This is all just coming to me now.
It's a disaster.
It's probably for the best.
Okay.
Katelyn, yay or nay, mustaches?
You know, there are probably 2 or 3 people in this world who I think have the right to wear a mustache, and that would be Tom Selleck, who is like the
original
godfather,
mustache.
the original
Yeah.
mustache. Tom Selleck, Pedro Pascal,
Yeah.
and and I think that's about it.
That's
Maybe
it.
Brad Pitt. It may be Brad Pitt because he can do whatever he wants. All of the Gen Zs are like, "Who's Brad Pitt?"
Oh no! Come
No?
on!
Okay.
No, Brad Pitt, the F1
what a-
movie, he is
Okay,
present.
he's still
he is
there,
present in
yeah.
our lives. Yes.
Okay,
He's an
okay.
important figure. Yeah.
What about Steve Harvey?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. That's a different kind of mustache. That's a different vibe though. This is like, that's like your uncle that thinks he's funny mustache, right? Yeah. You could one
guess
day
that-
pull that off, Alex.
The
One
Steve
day-
Harvey mustache?
Yeah, one day. Yeah.
When I have a nephew or a niece? Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Okay.
Why are we talking about mustaches?
Okay, yeah, let's get back on track here. let's stay focused.
Yeah, what's this about?
Let's pivot into why we pick the races that we do.
Okay.
Fall season is fast approaching. If you've not already made your fall racing plans, we're here to help, or just for the future, a little guidance. Selecting which races to run is a really specific and particular thing. There's a lot that goes into it. I think there's a lot that we take for granted as veterans of running. We've done a lot of different races. You kind of have like a sort of like an instinct over what a good race is and what races you should perhaps avoid, and how you structure them into your program, into your season, so that they're effective and they work for you. So you're not just going to burn yourself out. So we're going to talk all about that. First things first, I should say, tease to the end of the podcast, the very end of this podcast, we are going to do a fall race draft. So we're each going to select 4 races. And we will turn to you, the audience, to tell us who has the best fall slate. So that'll be at the end of the podcast. I'll tease for the end there. Stick around at the end, or just if you don't want to hear us talk for the next 30 minutes about how we plan our races, you can just skip right to
Fast forward.
Yeah. So let's get into it, guys.
All right.
First things first. What is the number one thing you look for when you're planning your races and you're looking to select a race or a few different races for a season? What's the number one thing you're looking for overall?
I would say number one for everyone should probably be the distance, or the time,
Fair enough.
I wasn't even thinking that.
You're like, oh
far
yeah,
back.
right. How far the run is going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of number one. You have to think, okay, how much time do I have? What's my fitness level at? And what's my distance or time? The reason I say time is because trail can vary so much. So I would say time or distance. So kind of figure out what you want your distances to be for your season, so you can cut that down right away and figure out which races are going to be on your plate.
So painfully obvious that both Alex and I just completely didn't think of it. Thank you, Coach Katelyn.
You're welcome.
Probably a good idea to make your goal race a certain distance and then plan your training accordingly.
Yes. What were you guys going to say?
Wow. Well, step 2, I suppose.
Okay.
I recognize that at this point in my running life, I'm pretty boring when I choose my races, because I'm on a tear. I'm on a personal bests tear. I've had 3 good seasons, and I plan to have a 4th one. And so when you're running that high, when you're riding a high of getting better from year to year, you're looking for fast races, and that's what dictates everything for me. Is the race flat and fast, but not too fast. So, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky. There are some races that are so quick. I'm talking about those races that were on the list of those who would get penalized by the Boston Marathon because they're too downhill.
The Revels.
The Revel races. When it comes to those races, it's almost like the time doesn't count because it's too downhill. Those I avoid, but I try to find the flattest, fastest races out there. And a good way to know what those are and this is getting a little bit into nerd corner, but I do think it's important if you're someone who's maybe trying to qualify for Boston or just trying to run your fastest time, look for the sanctioned labels. Look for the labeled races. Some races that are World Athletics labeled, or some countries even preside over the races that they offer and give races a label, which basically means it's measured accurately, it's usually flat, and it's a reliable way to really challenge yourself over the distance that you want to run a PR in, whether that's a half or a full or 5K or 10K. All these races tend to have labels. So, yeah, right now it's been that. It's been looking for something fast.
I would say at this stage, Katelyn, I feel like Katelyn, you still have PR on your mind. I think you still have some unfinished business in the marathon and on the roads in general. I don't know where I'm at. I'm not going to turn this into a pity party, I promise. But I'm in this sort of weird no man. Yeah. Oh, the violin is playing for me. I'm in like the sort of no man's land of running right now, which allows me to be very selective in which race. And I've run a lot of races in my life at this point. I've done 100 more different races over the course of my life and career as a runner and in the running industry. I've had a lot of opportunities to experience a lot of things. So for me now, it's about quality. I want to run quality races. No more crappy races. I don't want to ever get lost on course again in my goddamn life.
Totally.
Yeah, too many times. I don't want to hit some weird bike path that you're getting sent off onto in order for the race to, make it less more affordable for them to run the event. I want quality. So for me, I'm looking for a quality goal race that is of a certain standard.
Like great organization. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a race that's like they're going to go out of their way to make sure it's a great experience. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Biggest mistake. Biggest
there's so many.
Teachable moment that you can share with our audience where you're just like, maybe avoid this. And I made this mistake and I, in retrospect, would have liked to have avoided it.
I have so many. I mean, I have so many, but I'll just share one. And I think that share one for now, but I think that the moral of the story is just to do what we're going to talk about today, and what different factors to look for when choosing a race is just not to really pay attention to the details of the race and just say, that sounds great. Yeah, let's go run that because of one reason. Like, for example, my second 100-miler, I decided that, I'm going to run this race. It was the Trail Animals, it's TARC 100, and it was in Westwood, Massachusetts. So I said, this is awesome because it's 20 minutes from my dad's house. I only get to visit him like once or twice a year. So I'll take advantage of that. I'll go visit him. I'll hang out with my brother. I'll see my friends, my family. I'll run the 100-miler in the forests in Westwood and Massachusetts. And then, that's going to sound great. Okay, let's sign up. Let's go. Westwood it is. Here we go. Signed up. It was 4 loops of 42 kilometers.
Right.
And I was like, wait, what? What's that? It was not like this one big loop or maybe 2 loops of the same, but it was like in a hamster wheel doing the race. And maybe some people really like that. And we're going to get into that later about why, you would choose a race like that. But
yeah, that can be beneficial. It can be
beneficial.
Yeah.
But for my purposes, I was kind of like, I didn't even check to see how the course was going to be. So I think that we make a lot of mistakes like that. Another one for me could be running the Houston Marathon, and I'm not great in the cold, and it was 0 degrees. It was like 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and I froze, and I had a miserable experience. So I think the moral of those 2 stories are, and what we're going to get into, is all of the factors that you need to check out and all of the research that you need to do on the races before you go to make sure that it's the best fit for you. So I've made some big mistakes. What about you guys?
Coming in. So next segment, definitely, we're going to break down kind of like a strategic checklist that you can go through when you're planning your races. Mostly from mistakes that we've made. Yeah, Alex, what's your take? Like a big sort of own goal that you've made that you're like, this is something I need to not ever do again. Sort of more sort of thematically.
Yeah, I don't think I picked poorly in the last few years, but I think I got greedy once and I picked too much. And this is in the season that just passed. So we've talked about this a bunch on the podcast. We just made a video about this. I had this big goal in 2025 to break 30 minutes over 10K. And when I didn't do it in March, in my first attempt, I got a little bit greedy in terms of how many attempts I would give myself in the next few months. And so it led to a situation where I scheduled a 10K for myself at the end of April, another one at the end of May, another one in the second week of June, and another one in the third week of June. And what ended up happening was 3 of those 4 races were terrific. And I hit my goal. And between those 3 races, there were a few weeks to recover. But between those last 2 races in June, I was exhausted. I think there were 4 days between 10K number call it number 3 and 10K number 4. And by the end, I was destroyed. And now that I'm, a few weeks removed from that season, what I not only remember that I had some good races, but I remember that crappy last race, which went terribly. I didn't even finish it because I was so exhausted. And looking back, it was like, yeah, I double booked myself, right? Overbooked myself for the month of June. Yeah. And so now it's like, well, try to maybe just have 2 or 3 races on the calendar and give yourself a few weeks between the races, and don't bite off more than you can chew.
It's like that'll
be interesting to see. To see how much time we need between different distances. And I think we can talk about that too, because, the 10K is like Alex is saying, maybe you can do one every few weeks or every month. But then with a marathon, you're not going to do one every few weeks or every month. So we can get into that as well. But yeah, definitely overbooking can burn yourself out big time.
Oh, yeah. I was so dead. I needed a couple weeks.
Yeah. Sorry, Michael.
I was just going to say, if you've got a 7-year-old, don't do 3 birthday parties in a weekend. That's, know.
Why would you do 3 birthday parties?
Wow.
Well, you get invited to 3 birthday parties, and then you just find yourself sort of running the birthday party gauntlet, and then by Sunday afternoon,
to the
you're
kids'
cooked.
friends.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you need to pick your favorite of like all of your kids' friends, and just pick that one.
Oh, this is a whole. This is it's politics. Selecting birthday parties. Don't even want to get into it. We'll leave it at that.
We tapped a nerve.
Exactly. It's complicated stuff. Okay,
You
so
got a popular kid.
It's the age. You do you invite everyone in the class up until a certain point, and then it turns to sleepovers after that. I'm looking forward to the sleepover phase.
Yeah, more presents that way. Yeah. What? Oh.
Motivators. Alex, you mentioned you're in the hunt for the PR. So goal time, great motivator. I think if that's something that's driving you, can be a very good, because it will drive you towards quality race, right? New destination, I think, is a good motivator as well. Going to a new place. One really cool thing about running is that you, if you're able to, it turns into it can kind of take over your travel schedule. It can take over vacation time in your life. How many times have you guys not gone on vacation that was entirely shaped around running?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. I have this whole thing where I've separated the two so far, but I have this idea that I want to go, and my whole idea around that is that you race on day 3 and then you get it out of the way.
Absolutely.
And then you do your vacation.
That's a good tip. That you do. It can be tricky if you're traveling multiple time zones, because then jet lag is a real factor. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But yeah, going to a new destination and sort of programming a bit of your travel around getting to a new place and running a new race is I think a smart move and a good motivator. Another good motivator is I think we all kind of have a bucket list. Some of us are a little bit more A-type about it than others. I know of people who've got a spreadsheet of races that they want to do, a literal spreadsheet for their bucket list. I have not done that. I just kind of have this loose collection of races that we will get to when we do the race draft. I'm sure they will be revealed. Some of these races we haven't done yet that we want to do that are. Do you guys have a bucket list, either written down or kind of a loose one in your mind?
No.
I don't
have
either.
I have a bucket list of race times, but not actual races.
My God.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, after I finished this race, this season, this year, I was talking to my friends and I was like, so what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next year? I didn't have races. I don't have races planned for even next year yet. So I have to work on that. And actually thinking about this race draft, that's when I started doing a little bit of research, and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. And this looks really cool. So I got some ideas just because we were going to get on the pod.
And then there's, of course, the different types of races that you either love or avoid.
Oh yeah.
Do either of you avoid hilly races? I mean, I know, Alex, you're probably in the avoiding hilly race phase of your running career right now.
I am, though there was a time when I did cross country in college where we seeked out hilly road races in the off season just to be prepared for that feeling in cross country. And it presents a different challenge. It's actually more fun. And there's one road race in Toronto that's hilly, an 8K in April, the spring runoff that I do every year. And it's cool because it forces you to not think too much about time. And I actually enjoy it every year I do it. And I've done it in the last 3 years.
That's a lovely race. And races like that are sort of part of the culture of the community you run in, there's a value in that, right? And it's like the race is just there. There's a couple of big hills. You just embrace that. It's part of it. Running's hard. That's okay. And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here with Katelyn Tocci, who runs ultras. So
Who counts her mileage in the vertical
Exactly.
realm.
I actually seek out races. If I want to do well in a race, going uphill climbing and going downhill are my strengths as opposed to flat, which may sound really funny to people, but I'm just not a strong runner on flat ground. I'm just not as fast. But I can climb really fast and I can bomb down hills really fast. So I choose races with peaks if I want to have a really good time and enjoy the race and do well. And so I'm actually looking for a lot of elevation gain when I'm looking at a trail race, rather than a very, very runnable trail race. That would be more challenging for me than a hilly trail race. So we're like absolute opposite here, but I do look at it. And I think that that's what, one of the tips coming off of this is choose races that go with your strengths, right? So if that terrain or the elevation gain or the elevation loss, whatever you're best at, you want to choose races that's going to cater to your strengths.
And then, of course, the big question is, how do you program in all of this glorious running and racing and traveling around pesky work, family, and other demands that get in the way of our main focus in life, which is, of course, running.
Yes, all these distractions.
Have
Yeah.
either of you called in sick or made up an excuse so that you could run a race or kind of like, travel a day early, that sort of thing? Have either of you ever called in, like, played hooky to run a race before?
No, I'm way too public with my own running for I would be outed. I'm like,
Well,
this
we work in
person,
the industry now too, so it's sort of like it's part of the game.
Yeah, but even before that, I'd be bound to end up like the astronomer CEO and be the face on the internet that everyone saw. I should be like the person who goes to the Taylor Swift concert with the bag on their head. And it's like, this is how I don't get caught when I leave work. What I did actually before doing what I do now, I used to work a communications job for our national sport organization in Canada, Athletics Canada. And so I would travel to these races anyway, and I would make it a point to race some of them. And so I'd be like doing social content up until, like 90 minutes before the race. And then I would turn it off, do the race, finish it. And then, like 30 minutes after I finished, I've grabbed the phone and I'm like interviewing some of the winners. Like I've done some pretty tight turnarounds before, which was like so weird because you're like going in and out of work mindset, race mindset.
That's
very
very
tough.
tough.
I would recommend, I'd recommend not doing that. Just completely disconnect and try to get the time off if you are going to a race. Like don't try to do this. Like I'm also working today. It usually doesn't end well.
We were chatting about that earlier before we jumped on about how Boston was a little tricky for me because and you guys were really great with me because I was not involved in all of the stuff we did that whole weekend because I was focusing on running, but we did do some activities and I was walking around Boston a lot, going to the pop-ups, doing and you're right, Alex, it was tiring to do that, then the race, then come back and to continue to work. So if you can cut out the time. Now, in my previous life, before all this marathon handbook and full-time coaching, remember, I was a teacher for almost 20 years. And so it's a little tricky when you're a teacher because you have your set time off. So if I really wanted to run a race at a different time of year, it wasn't like I was going to be able to get that time off if I had to travel because I was teaching. But I did ask for permission once. And it was when I ran the Coastal Challenge here in Costa Rica because it was a 1-week stage race. And it's always only going to be in February. And I thought, well, if I'm teaching for the rest of my life, and actually my boss at the time, the principal was very understanding. It was the first week of school, if you can imagine, the first week when we start here. And she let me go run the race. I got permission to go and do it. So I wasn't hiding or sneaking out or saying that I was sick for the first week of school, but I did get permission. But it's tough when you have those really tight schedules. If anyone else out there is a teacher, then you have to work your racing schedule around teaching, which is going to be, summer vacation if you're traveling, or Christmas, or all of those really high volume travel weeks.
I run a relay race every year with the same core group of guys. Other runners come and go, but there's a core group of us who have been doing this every year for many years now. And one of them, I will not out him, one of them is a school teacher. And every year, I won't even say the time of year. I don't want to get him in trouble, just in case.
I think I know who this is.
The same weekend every year, he is suddenly ill on the Friday and the Monday.
And the Monday.
Yep. Calls in sick. They have to bring in a supply teacher. Substitute comes in Friday and the Monday every year.
Is this person on Strava? You got to be careful.
They may be. Hopefully they're not listening. All right. Let's take a quick break and then we'll get into the checklist. What we call the strategic considerations for how it is that we go about selecting a race. Kind of like it's our checklist for you to
our
use
handbook,
from here.
if
our
you will.
Race handbook.
Well done.
Well played, sir. All right. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Strategic considerations. Okay. So I think first things first. You mentioned this before, Katelyn. You teased it earlier. Mm-hmm. The course. The actual route that you're going to run. I think before you sign up for any race, it's a good idea to survey the course. Now, obviously, if it's a local race, you're going to have a sense of exactly what the terrain is like. But if it's a travel race, before you start booking on Expedia, etc., maybe take a look at that course and decide whether or not this is for you.
Yeah, and I think you've got to look at a bunch of different things. Like we already talked about the elevation gain. Is it going to be flat? Is it going to be hilly? What do you want? Now thinking about road, also thinking about trails. If it's a trail race, is it really technical? Is it going to be, fire roads or something that's much more runnable? So first, I think looking at that kind of terrain, that helps a lot. So you know what to prepare for. And then we also want to mention the construction of the course, like the layout. So this can happen also in road and also on trails. So is it a point-to-point course? Okay, so if it's point-to-point, very cool to run point-to-point because it's, you never run the same thing. You don't have to go back. You don't have loops. It's, you start in one place, you end in another, but you have to think of logistics. So are you going to stay close to the start line or are you going to stay close to the finish line? You have to make sure that you get plenty of time to get to the start line or back to your place after the finish line. You've got to do a lot of logistics if it's going to be point to point, right? So if you don't have crew and you don't have help, that's something that you're going to need to take into consideration. Like New York, right, Michael? Or you were saying, you were talking about that. So the New York
City Marathon, I mean, if you've never run New York before and you don't know anything about it and you're newer to running and you're like, this is the biggest, greatest marathon in the world. I'm going to put my name in the lottery. And then you don't do your research and your name gets, you're like one of the lucky few that gets, the lucky 50+ thousand people that get to do it. You have to keep in mind that this race is not a race that's it's starting like 4 hours before the gun goes in the race. Mm-hmm. You have to get up super early. You have to make your way to one of the locations where you're going to get picked up by a chartered bus it's an incredible apparatus, the New York City Marathon. The organization is wonderful, but there's a lot that goes into it. You got to get on a bus. The bus takes you to Staten Island. Then you have to wait on Staten Island at this old sort of historic fort area. You have to be prepared for any weather. You're going to be sitting on the grass or standing, waiting for your time to go to the bridge and start the race. And that can take hours, and that's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. And that can be an impediment so if you're a guy like Alex and you're really focused on running your fastest marathon ever and you're obsessed with the PR, New York, for a lot of reasons, might not be for you, at least not in the onset. You can run fast in New York. I know people that have run fast in New York. It's not that much of an impediment, but you need to be prepared for that. Boston is the same way. There's a lot of other races around there. That I ran the Wine Glass Marathon that finishes in Corning, New York. It's a lovely race, great experience. But you've got to go out the middle of nowhere for the start. Now they have a whole school bus system set up, but you should know about it. When does it leave? Where does it leave from? That will help you booking your travel, where you're going to stay, that sort of thing.
Yeah, logistics
in Corning,
are so
there's only one
important.
spot to stay, so you're staying at the Ramada in Corning, New York. Spoiler alert. It's going to happen.
Ramada.
Yeah, it's the one event. Yeah.
You know what I really gained an appreciation for this last year, because I fell into two almost opposite scenarios in relation to this, is when choosing a race, consider weather. We don't think about weather that much because most of the biggest races, at least in North America, happen in the spring or the fall. That's by design. That's when running weather is at its best. But if you're running year round, you might have that incentive to do a summer race or do a winter race. And this year, I actually think I made two good calls. I think I kind of lucked out this year. I've had two different scenarios. So I did the Houston Half Marathon in January. And before choosing to do it, I checked what the weather was going to be like in Houston, because yes, Houston is south, but also it was happening in the middle of winter. And so I saw that the range of degrees was going to be probably somewhere between, oh boy, help me out here. I'm in Celsius, 0 Celsius, which is
32.
30, thank you, Fahrenheit, to something like almost 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So I figured that it would be a little bit chilly, which worked for me because I was training in the cold winter in Canada. And so I decided to go for it, and I was rewarded for it because on that day it ended up being 32 and I was ready for it. So that was a good decision. The opposite thing was I had a conversation with my coach, John, after my June race where things didn't go well, about whether or not I should take a week or two off and then launch myself into a summer track racing season, which I eventually decided to not do because I preferred to prioritize the fall. And I'm happy that I didn't do it because I kept tabs on the results of the races that I would have entered. They were mostly 5Ks on the track. No one was running fast. The 5Ks were happening at 5, 6 p.m. when the weather in Canada, in the Toronto region, was something like 85 to 95 to even 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And the races were gong shows. I'm happy that I didn't do it. So, moral of the story, summer races, I would choose against them. I wouldn't do them unless they're happening first thing in the morning or late at night. If you're doing track, there are a lot of twilight meets where the races begin at 9 p.m., which comes with its own set of challenges.
For sure.
But if you're a night person and you're kind of into that, then
it's a cool
maybe
experience.
You have the green flag. Well, I mean, you're running under the lights, right? It's really cool. And the weather usually has gotten a little bit chillier by that point. The sun has set. But otherwise, I've kind of resolved that, you know, if someone's inviting me to a race at 2 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon on July 25th, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it at all. Chances are it's going to be too hot.
You know, I think I may be jumping around a little bit, but Alex, you just said something that's so important. And I think I would have forgotten to mention it if you didn't. The time of day for me is crucial. I have chosen not to run an ultra that starts in the afternoon because I don't want to start a race in the afternoon. I've tried it a couple times. It's terrible for me with food, with digestion, which is my whole routine doesn't work for an afternoon or an evening race. So I'm going to run Rabbit Run in September. And there's this thing that they do, which is the hares and the tortoises. So I think the hares are going for big prize money, and they're probably people that are going to spend less time running the race. And the tortoises are people who are not going for the prize money. The tortoises start first thing in the morning. The hares start in the afternoon. Even though I would have liked to run with the hares, I chose the tortoises just because we're starting in the morning. Because I just don't I don't want to start a race at 4 or 5 in the afternoon and go straight into the night. And, you get kind of messed up during the day. And what's my schedule like? Should I try to rest? Should I eat lunch? Should I not? To me, the logistics of the food more than anything kind of messes with my system, and it messes me up a little bit. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because I would also always check the time of day the race is going to start and make sure that that's going to work with you, especially if you're traveling. If you think about jet lag or you think about time changes, you might even want to see, oh, does this work with my original time or routine, or will I be able to adjust in time for that start? So I think that that's also something really important that we should mention, that you should check when you're looking at races, the start time.
So do the tortoises usually end up winning the race anyway?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so, because I think people usually choose based on their skill level or how long they think they're going to take. I don't know how long I'm going to take. I haven't run a 100-miler in 5 years, but I think I would have liked to go out with that group, because I don't know, it would have been fun, but I just chose based on the logistics that I want to run in the morning.
Yeah, I would say even for if you're doing like a conventional road race, like a marathon or a half marathon, that's something to keep in mind is the race being run in September, October, November, December? Where on the planet is it being run? What is you can look at sort of the sort of traditional range of temperature, and humidity is definitely a factor. Humidity, like I made a horrible mistake, but it wasn't a mistake running the Miami half marathon because it's a great event. I enjoyed the event. I've run it a couple of times. It's the beginning of February. It starts extremely early in the morning, and that's a good thing because it needs to, because Miami gets hot in February, even in February, but it's also very humid. So can you PR at the Miami Marathon? Probably not. And it's something to keep in mind, but that may not be what's motivating you. You might be wanting to go for that experience, or for just like being in Miami because it's a fun city to be in. It's a great destination race, especially for a group, right? But I would say there's definitely races you're never going to escape the timing. Boston being one of them. Boston starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's when the elites start close to 10 o'clock in the morning, and then there's the cascade of waves after that. So you're starting at no earlier than 10 a.m. Eastern time, local time.
Right.
And it's in April. It seems like more and more now, it's climate change. You're getting this really erratic weather in places like Boston. I have a bold prediction that in 20 years' time, we're going to be looking back at races like Boston in April with its 10 a.m. start. It's going to be starting way earlier in the morning.
Yep.
And then I think Chicago is another one that's vulnerable. It's in early October, early October every year. I believe it's like the first or second weekend in October every year. I think it's going to start getting really hot in October, and it's going to be very unpredictable. I just imagine these races starting in November in like 20 years' time, sadly. So there's something to consider.
In Costa Rica, it's always going to be hot and humid.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you're running a race close to the equator, you're always going to get the same difficult situation.
But come anyway.
But come anyway. You come for the beauty.
Yep.
Travel logistics. You just mentioned travel a little bit, and time zones. That's a huge factor. Running a race where you're looking at 4, 5 hours, 6 hours, and I've run a race on the other side of the world. I've run a race in Hong Kong where it was a 11 or 12 hour time zone difference. It's like the idea usually is it's like 1 hour time zone difference takes 1 day. So if you're 5 time zones, it's going to take you 5 days to adjust.
Oh, wow.
I
That's
never
more
heard
than
that.
I realized.
Yeah. So that would throw your plans, Alex Sear, of debuting in the marathon in the 2026 London Marathon next April, of your idea of parachuting in on Thursday or Friday, running the race, and then going for a lovely European vacation afterwards. That probably nixes that if you want to run fast, because you're going to be scrambled.
I'll just have to extend my time in London. I don't really mind.
Let's make it a 2-week trip.
What a shame.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I would say like a pro move there. I mean, it's pretty prohibitively costly, but like if you're running a race like London and you live in North America and you have to cross the Atlantic Ocean, so you're looking at least 5 time zones that you're going to be dealing with. You might want to show up, I don't know, like the Monday or the Tuesday to get ready for the Sunday marathon. And that's a big ask. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money.
Yep.
Another thing to consider, hotel proximity, right? And often with these, especially with major marathons, like it's you're not the only person who's thinking I want to be close to the start of the finish line.
Of course.
And so you have to look into that and plan early because these hotels will book up quickly.
Question.
Yes.
For both of you.
Yes.
Travel with friends to a race or travel alone?
I'm gonna go with friends. Yeah, I'm gonna go with friends. What we do every year for the running club is we choose a race, and this is why I was joking before that I don't remember the last time I had a vacation that was not based around running. I basically for my honeymoon ran my first 100-miler. So like, if I can say,
you're giving me great ideas.
Great ideas.
I'll ask Alexis if she'd like to, maybe throw in 100-miler in this honeymoon that we're going to do.
What she thinks of that. So no, but I have had basically all of my vacations have always been revolving around running, and so every year the running club that my husband and I have, we choose a race and we motivate people from the club to go to the race, and it's always really fun. And sometimes we'll go with groups of 20, 25 people. Of course, we're talking more than one Airbnb because these are some big groups. So you've got to break them up into smaller groups. But it is so much fun to have your people there, to have friends there to share with before, during, after. When you go on your own and you're soloing it, I've done that too. It's still fun, but you don't have that kind of camaraderie, at least with people that and you share all the experience with. I'm sure you can meet people, but I think it's really fun to plan these sorts of things with friends because it makes it just a whole ordeal.
Yeah, I would say traveling with at least one running friend is a good idea. Or if you're traveling with your partner or a very close friend who's not a runner, choose wisely. And prepare them for what it's going to be like. Because, one way to challenge a relationship, to stress a relationship, is to go on your honeymoon and do a 100-miler and see what happens. That's interesting. It means that you have it means you've made the right choice if you come out the other end of the 100-miler and you're still wanting to continue with the marriage. Another way to challenge a relationship is to take the person who is not a runner on a running trip with you for the weekend and see how that pans out. It can be that can be risky. That can end in tears and breakup, where it's like they show up and you're like, okay, we're in Chicago for the weekend, and then you're like, I'm gonna be in this hotel room for the next 3 days and with my feet up, watching bad TV and eating lots of carbohydrates, stinking up the joint. And the most I'm going to do is go down to the pancake place 1 block away that I've found on my phone here. It's not a lot of fun, right?
No.
Eyes on the prize. So keep that in mind when you're traveling with friends. If you're traveling with running friends, that's great. But you should also consider the fact that not everyone is motivated in the same way. Perhaps you are there to try to run a PR, but your roommates or your Airbnb mates are there to have a good time and want to go out the night before. These are things that you should consider, right?
When you tell your friend that you want to go destroy yourself in Berlin in September, they might not know what you're talking about.
That you don't mean going to Berghain and getting wasted and dancing for all night. No, you mean running really, really hard very early on Sunday morning. And that's that. Training window. There's another thing to think about. Okay. So this is something that you have to sort of program backwards, right? So I would say pick a goal race. That goal, identify if that race is available to you or not. Races are selling out like crazy now. I blame your generation, Alex. I blame I blame the sort of like young millennials, Gen Zs who've discovered running and now they're taking up all of the race entries on us, Katelyn. And
Yes.
it used to be these races weren't sold out. Now I'm discovering that the Philadelphia Marathon is sold out and it's July.
Wow.
California International Marathon sold out. Well, of course, races like Chicago, New York, I mean, they're lottery. You have to plan those well in advance. And so if you're going to do one of these races, first you have to make sure that you've got an entry, and then you've got to program backwards. So I like to do a 16-week training block going into a marathon. So you got to figure out when week 0 is for, say, the Philadelphia Marathon in the 3rd week in November. And you've got to create a structure around that and plan. I would not recommend thinking that you're going to do a race in September and it's the end of July because you don't have enough time. Unless you're motivated differently and you want to just have the experience and go for the run. That's up to you.
Or the flip side to that is choosing a goal race in December and it's July. That's the silent killer sometimes. You're giving yourself tons of time only to figure out that 4 months into your 6-month build, you're burnt and you're tired of running.
Yeah.
Well, that's where you sneak in the tune-up races or like the practice races. And so if you've got, you know, a marathon at the end of December, or like I've had the 100-miler, I have it in September, and I've got a couple of 50Ks beforehand. And those are races that I also look forward to. And they're great practice races. And you can, you just practice all the racing things in those races, your nutrition, your hydration, your everything. And so you've got those tune-up races to kind of look forward to. And they give you little bits of tapers and recovery after, so you get a little bit of downtime, and so exactly that doesn't happen, so you don't burn out because you're just training full force the whole 6 months.
And I would also consider like the weather you're training in versus the weather you're going to be running in on race day. That's another thing to keep in mind. I have a theory. I don't know how well-founded this theory is, but I feel like if there was sort of like a meta-analysis of personal bests, it would prove out my theory. And my theory is that you're going to run your fastest, best performances in a marathon in the fall. And the reason for that is you train, at least in the Northern Hemisphere and the Western world, you're training through the summertime. And the old saying is heat training is the poor man's elevation training or altitude training.
Yep. Yeah.
Because what you're doing when you're training through the heat's stressing the body, and it's actually creating a more rapid and intense red blood cell accumulation in your body. You're developing more hemoglobin in your blood, and you're becoming a more efficient runner because of it. It sucks when you're doing it. I hate running in the heat and humidity. It's painful, but you come out the other side of the summer super fit and ready to roll. And that's why I find that these fall races that you run once the temperatures dip down in October or November, you're performing at your best. So that's another thing to consider. Whereas the flip tends to happen, I find, with a race like Boston, where it's like you train through the winter, through these cold months, and that's great for like mental toughness and fortitude, but then you get like a day where it's, I don't know, not even that warm by, standard,
like 75 degrees.
Yeah. It's 67 degrees in the last 10K of the Boston Marathon, and everyone is just completely and totally falling apart, right? Because just like, what is this sun in this heat, That's something to consider, and it's something to be mindful of, and maybe even something to try to train in. I don't know, like I wouldn't recommend anyone run a long run on a treadmill in warm conditions, but like if you're really concerned about it, maybe it's something that you can train for, right?
Something to like practice every once in a while. Oh, altitude,
Yeah.
Michael. Altitude is
Yeah.
something that also you should look at when you're going to a race, when you're going to sign up for a race. Because if you live at sea level and you're going to do a race like I am now in Colorado, you have to be at least mentally prepared for the fact that you're going to be running at altitude. So that's going to
Yes.
feel different for you. So yes, I am heat training, I guess per se, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes and people react differently to altitude. So you've got to be ready to feel your rate of perceived exertion higher, right? You maybe you're going to have some headaches or dizziness, or you just have to kind of see how you react to altitude. So if you get a chance to go do a couple of runs at altitude, it would be, I mean, I know some people can't, you don't have any here in Costa Rica. I have mountains really close to me. There are 3,000 meters. So, you can go and you can practice in altitude and at least just know how you're going to feel. It doesn't mean that you're going to get accustomed to it, but you know that that's going to feel different. So if you are a person who doesn't
Yeah.
feel great running at altitude, then maybe you want to think about not choosing a race at altitude.
Yeah, if you're like, you happen to be in Colorado and like the Boulder is happening, which is one of the great road races in the world, you have to keep in mind that it's in Boulder, so it's at
Right.
elevation. Or if you're in like in Canada, the Calgary Marathon or the events that take place in Calgary and Alberta, which is also in the Rocky Mountains, not a crazy amount of elevation, but I think like Calgary sits at like 5,000 feet of elevation or something like that. It's like it is enough to affect you.
Right.
And I know, I won't name the person out of respect. I know a very good runner that just cannot do altitude. So they just avoid altitude at all costs because they tried to do an event at altitude and got crushed by it because our bodies, you don't know until you're at altitude whether or not you can manage it. And some people have a very, very negative experience with altitude.
Exactly.
They just can't get over it.
Yeah. Yeah. My future brother and sister-in-law climbed Kilimanjaro, just walking up Kilimanjaro, and their guides told them that fitness didn't really matter in predicting how someone would do with altitude. It's very genetic. I mean, of course, if you are unfit, you'll have a tough time just walking up there. But insofar as how you relate or how you respond to altitude, it's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah. All right. Let's take one final break. And then afterwards, we will get into our fall race draft. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
All right, the fall race draft. We've done a race draft before.
I won, by the way.
I'm not sure.
Subjective.
I'm not sure if if history is on your side there, Katelyn, or not.
Caitlin picked the Disney Marathon.
I can
and
go to the
A bunch
comments.
of people commented because they love the Disney Marathon. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it was unfair. It was unfair. I should have picked the Star Wars marathon or half marathon or whatever it is. Okay. So we're doing a fall race draft. So here is the rules and regs here. Each of us have to select 4 races to program out the perfect fall season. What defines the perfect fall season? We will turn over to you, the listener and viewer, and you can let us know in the comments about, of course, obviously mine is going to be the best and Alex's is going to be weird, and why Katelyn and her strange ultras, whatever. Okay. So here's the structure. We each need to select a goal race. We need to select a tune-up or a prep race that fits with that goal race. That will be a factor. We also need to select a rust buster. So presumably at the start of your season, a race that you're going to run to get a sense of where you're at. And then finally, our 4th pick is going to be what we'll call a backup race. And this can be a race that if one of those races does not go well, you can do that race instead. So it's a little bit of a wild card. Now, how do we define the fall season? We have defined it very broadly because we're talking about rust busters. So start of the training season, July 1st to December 31st, we will define as the fall season. This is a global draft. Any race that's happening anywhere in the world is up for grabs of any distance from, I guess, a mile, let's say, all the way up to a 100-miler. You can define what your season is and your goal race is. We're going to do this snake draft style, which is we're going to do an alphabetical order. So we'll let Alex go first. Youngest first.
Okay.
Alex, Katelyn, Michael. Michael, Katelyn, Alex. Alex, Katelyn, Michael. Snake, back and forth, back and forth. And then one final thing we're going to add in here is the opportunity to steal. Each one of us have one opportunity to steal a race from someone else that someone else has already drafted, if we so choose. And what happens in that situation is, say it's my turn to select. I instead decide to steal a race from Katelyn. I will steal
Dare you.
some Badwater 135 no, from Katelyn, because I desperately want that to be my goal race.
Yep.
And then that's my pick. And then immediately it goes to Katelyn to be able to fill that void. And then we carry on in the draft order from there.
Sounds good.
There's no way that I'm stealing either of your races. I know that.
You don't know.
The only way I'm stealing your race is if I'm stealing it back from what you stole from me.
Oh, can you do that?
Interesting. Yeah, you can do
of
that.
course.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Mr.
So I'm first.
Sear,
You're first, Alex.
the first overall in the draft. You are
Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. And we don't have to go in order here. I don't need to pick my first tune-up race first, correct? I can pick any
order.
order. Okay. Therefore, I think I will choose my hottest commodity,
Oh.
Okay.
and I'm going to go straight for the goal race.
Okay.
I want something flat, fast. I've realized I've never raced across the Atlantic. All of my races have been in Canada or the US. And so
Oh.
I want to break that trend and go somewhere that is known for being a type of PR factory. I'm going to do the Valencia half marathon.
It's on my list.
It was
Was it?
almost on my list, Alex.
Oh my
on my
goodness.
list,
Okay.
too.
I
Okay,
can't believe
It's
it.
on my short list.
Okay. Okay. Well, I picked well. It's on October 26th.
Okay.
I somewhat know myself and how I emerge from the summer. I've usually timed myself to be at my fittest in mid to late October, so it's well timed with how I know I tend to feel in the middle of the fall. And I just want to go fast. And I know
Wait a
that
minute.
at that race I would be chasing a lot of people. Yes.
So this is the Valencia half marathon you're selecting. in
Oh,
October,
right.
Not the Valencia
Not-
marathon,
which would be in
December.
December. Okay.
Yes.
The
The
half.
Valencia half, end of
Okay.
October. The
Very
Valencia
fast.
full being in early December.
Yep.
No, I have no interest in the Valencia full, though that's a phenomenal race with massive prize money that I obviously would never touch. But the half, that's
Okay.
my goal race, and I will proceed to build around it.
Okay.
So you have a goal race in October. Something for our listeners and viewers to keep in mind if we want to follow the rules of the game here. Okay. Katelyn Tocci, you're next up.
I wonder if I should do my goal. No, I'm going to do my starter race of the season,
Okay.
which is going to be the Cat 100, KAT 100 in Austria on August 9th. There's a 50K there. It's a UTMB race, which usually I don't pick these big races. I prefer the small community races, which I'll get to later. But it looks absolutely gorgeous. There are two major climbs. There's about over 3,000 meters of elevation gain in 50K. So of course I love that. It's one big loop, and it's a nice 7 a.m. start, but the views look spectacular. And that's one of the big things I look for when I'm choosing a race, that I'm just going to enjoy at least the scenery around me if I look up from my feet to check it out every once in a while.
Whoa, I'm actually going to be in Austria on August 9th.
Are you serious?
This year on a family trip. So I
there you
might
go.
just have to... No, I'm just kidding. I don't want that race at all. Cool. Good for you.
Good luck. Good luck to you.
It just seems like such a great 50K to start off the season, and just looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't want to butcher the name of the city it starts in, but it looks like it's Fieberbrunn, and so I don't know how to pronounce it, but it looks gorgeous.
Oh, Alex, there's
Yes.
a kids fun run at this event. You could do that.
What is it? What is it, like 35 kilometers?
the It's like some serious kids in the photo too. The catchphrase for the Cat 100 is, "Are you ready for your next step to heaven?"
Oh,
Ominous or literal?
Yeah, is this have people died on the course?
Yeah, jeez.
it looks hard,
I like
but
that.
it looks nice. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, good choice. Good
'Kay.
pick. The Austrian Alps, I presume, would be a lovely spot to run in August. And I think your pick is safe. So
Okay.
that you picked as that's your tune-up race.
Yeah, exactly. That's
So
my
we get a sense of where Katelyn's going here, Alex.
Yeah, I'm not too
It's a big goal.
threatened.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pick my Rust Buster first.
Oh,
I feel like in some ways it's the thinnest category. It's hard to find a really good kind of international quality, high quality race in the summertime that's worth traveling to. I want to travel a bit for this draft. So my first pick is going to be in Rust Buster. I'm going with the Peachtree 10K July 4th in Atlanta, Georgia. It is quite simply one of the great 10Ks in the world, if not the best 10K in the world, from my understanding. I have never run it. I have been to Atlanta with our colleague Koske and also Ambi Burfoot earlier this year. Koske and I did a nice little run together. Beautiful town, nice for running in. I'd love to do Peachtree July 4th. It's sneaking in at the early stages of what we've defined as the fall season. So it's a true Rust Buster, like literally running this race on almost no training, just jumping into the fire, going in head first, seeing what happens, seeing where my fitness is truly at in that moment. A 10K is a great litmus test for a longer distance in the fall, which you guys can probably guess will be a marathon.
July
And-
4th. Okay. This is
Yeah.
why you extended it.
exactly. That's
to,
passed already.
to be clear, Michael picked the parameters here in terms of length. This is why you went all the way back to July 1st. You had your eye on the Peachtree.
That's right.
Now we see why.
Well, no, I think it was fair. I think that's fair. And
No, that's fair. And you're not touching into my picks once again, so I'm cool with it.
4th of July weekend, so it's a big holiday weekend, big party weekend, massive race, one of the biggest road races in the world in terms of participation. It's the downhill direction, so they actually do a race, I believe, in January. They do the course in the opposite direction, kind of like how the Comrades Marathon in South Africa goes one direction one year, one direction the next year. They do this race twice a year, and they started running it in the opposite direction earlier in the year. This is the, I think, faster direction. So there you go. Peachtree 10K.
Nice.
That's my Rust Buster, beginning of the summertime.
Michael, is it
And-
point to point or is it a loop that they just do the opposite direction?
I think it's point to point, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. There you go. I've broken one of the cardinal rules of planning of how you select your races. I didn't look at the course yet. There you go. And I believe it is my pick again because we're doing this in
Yep.
snake draft.
Snake
So
form.
I am next going to select. I should pick my goal race.
Okay.
This is tough. This is tough. Yeah, this is so chalk of me to do this, but I'm doing it anyway. No, I'm not. Nope, screw it, guys. I'm staying true to my heart.
Okay.
I'm picking the Philadelphia Marathon.
Okay.
And
Okay.
New York was just sitting there for me. It's such an obvious
That's what
pick.
I thought you were going to pick.
It's
Yeah, it
arguably
was-
the greatest marathon in the world, but I'm
Yep.
gonna spice this up. I'm picking Philly. I'm gonna say this right now. This is a hot take. I think for people like me, somebody who is goal oriented, high level recreational runner, been running a long time, looking for a quality race, but I don't want to be like, I don't want to be spending 4 hours waiting for the race to start, you know, and freezing my ass off. I've run Chicago a bunch of times, so it's just sort of off the board for me right now. And also it's like Chicago is like a really big race that I actually find the crowds kind of stressful sometimes. And it's just a lot of people on the course. For me, the like Goldilocks Marathon is a race like the Philly Marathon, Philadelphia Marathon. It's in the third week in November. I've run it a few times. I know what I'm getting out of it. It's a great race, extremely well organized. Philadelphia is a great town, super fun place to hang out in after the race. It's got an art museum at the start. It starts and finishes in the same area, which is also nice. It's very central. The start and finish is right in the heart of the city. Grab Airbnb close by, so it makes it very easy logistically. Art museum right by the start finish, and I like to go hang out in an art museum the day before a race so that I keep things like calm and quiet. We've talked about this in a previous podcast. It's got everything I'm looking for in a race. It's the perfect race for me. Let's do this Philadelphia Marathon in November. That is my goal race.
Okay.
I got to say, I was curious about Philly, and if 2025 was a marathon year for me, I would have considered it more heavily, but
It has a
good
half.
for you.
But not yet.
Have at it.
Oh, it has.
I know, but I'm spoken for.
Oh.
Katelyn Tocci,
So Katelyn.
you're next up on the draft
Okay.
board.
All right, I'm up. Okay, so my second race of the season will be, and I don't know if you guys have heard, a few years ago, we put out an article about the best marathons in Scotland. And I have had my eye on the Glencoe Marathon Gathering, which when I saw the photos and the video of this, yeah, it's called the Glencoe Marathon Gathering. There's also a half. The photos, again, I guess I'm choosing a lot of this stuff on scenic route, and it's a marathon, but it is a trail marathon. So it doesn't have a ton of elevation gain. It still has 1,600 meters of elevation gain. So it is not flat. It was muddy. It was single track, but it was through these valleys, and you just have the vast Scottish Highlands on either side of you. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It is a point-to-point course, and it's a small event. I think there are about 250 people ran the marathon last year. So it's a really small event, really nice. I feel like community based, and just again, gorgeous scenic routes. And it looked like a lot of fun. So I wanted to throw that in there because I thought, okay, it's not as much elevation. It'll make me run faster. It'll make me run a bunch more getting ready for my goal race.
Okay. So this is your tune-up.
Yeah, I guess actually the other one would have been the Race Buster.
Alex is like, so this really muddy, hilly, brutal marathon is your tune-up race. Okay.
Yes, you'll see why once I get to my goal race. No, it's nothing too crazy. It's going to be cool. But anyway, yeah, so do you want to steal that one, Alex?
I'm good.
Okay.
I have two picks now. Now I feel safe because there's one race on my wish list that I don't think either of you will touch.
Okay.
And so I will lock down my other two, starting with my Rust Buster. So I looked for two things in a Rust Buster. A race that's early enough. I'm really a timing based kind of guy. I like to have a Rust Buster around 6 weeks to even 2 months before my actual goal race. This race fell in that time frame. Second thing I looked at, there's a dark side to being so dialed in on time and wanting to chase PRs like I've been in the last year or so, is you become very conscious of how fast you're running all the time. And I'm on this kick this season, and I've put a video together about this because I do feel pretty strongly about this, where I'm not trying to dial in too much into pace in these first few months of my training block, because I think I know myself, and I think that if I am too focused on pace for too many months, I risk to psych myself out by my actual goal race. And so what do you do to not think about pace? Do a race of an ambiguous distance. And so I chose maybe the most famous race of ambiguous distance in North America, at least for that time of the year. And I'm going to Falmouth, Massachusetts to do the road race.
Yes.
Yeah.
My home state. Love it.
There you go. 7 miles. It's a 7-mile race that's become quite famous over the years. It's nearing its 50-year anniversary. I think this year is year 46. And as of late, it's attracted world-class talent, top Olympians. Actually, fellow Canadians become kind of famous around Falmouth for winning recent editions. Ben Flanagan took the win, I think, 2 or 3 times in the last number of years. And it always seemed like a fun course. I know that I would have people to chase. Happens on Cape Cod.
Yep.
You're running along the Atlantic Ocean. Starts in a little village called Woods Hole. And then you run just past the Falmouth Harbor and finish just past the harbor. And so looks flat, fast, and I've always been kind of curious about it.
I love that you did the homework too. You've studied the course. You were a good runner, and you know what you're getting yourself into. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick. It's like
It's
classic
a great pick.
American
It
road
is.
race.
It's so classic. I've got a lot of friends who live in Massachusetts who try to do it every year. That's like it's a big deal to do the Falmouth road race. Awesome.
Yeah, no, and it's an easy travel. It's an easy trip for me coming in from Toronto, so it checked a lot of the boxes. Okay, now on a less cheery front, I hate this. I hate choosing a fallback race. I hate choosing a race that means that I'm doing it because I screwed up my other race. So in the event that this Valencia half marathon does not go swimmingly, I'm going back to the drawing board, and I want to race about 2 weeks later. 2 weeks is just enough time to lick my wounds, keep my motivation. It's not dragging the season on too long. I think that's the perfect timing. I was also looking at an American half marathon, not Philly, though Philly was around that time. I actually went for Indianapolis. Indianapolis half marathon on November 8th. I have a good friend who raves about Indy. He did the full marathon there, and he ran a big personal best. And he said the half marathon course was just as fast. There's usually some pretty good competition. Also kind of an easy lift, an easy travel trip for me. And at that point of the season, you don't want to travel to the other side of the world. You just want to get somewhere, get yourself right, and run the time that you're capable of running. So if Valencia's not the play, if things don't go well, I'm off to Indy.
Okay.
That's a good pick. And we should say we don't recommend having the fallback race. I don't believe in it. I think,
I don't.
over the years, I've had running friends who are like, yeah, I'm running Chicago in October, but I've also got a bib for New York, and it's like, it's a bit cheesy, just stick to your one race, go for it, and see what happens. But if it's a total disaster and you got to pivot, I think, you're like good pick, because it's not as expensive. It's closer to home. You just do it in a weekend. It's not a big trip. You've already done your big trip. And that's a high quality American road race. Good pick.
Nice.
Tocci, you're up next.
Okay.
We've had no steals thus far.
No, I was thinking about this while you guys are going over your races. And even though they're so different and no one's stealing from each other because we all have very different goals, this is great for everyone, because no matter what your style, you've got someone who's giving you great race ideas, because you got the trail side, the marathon side, and the half marathon side. So I think it's actually great. Even though we're not doing the whole stealing thing, we're getting a lot of different style races out there. So I think it's nice. I've got my goal race next, and this race is coming from a suggestion from a one who Alex has also met, a one lovely Anna Frost, who told me about this race when we ran the Coastal Challenge years ago. And I see that she has taken part in that race many times. It is called the Ultra X Madeira, and it's in Portugal. It's one of the islands there, and it is a 2-day stage race, November 1st and 2nd, and it is 110K in total. So you've got like 50K one day, 60K the next day. It has 6,000 meters of gain, so right up my alley. There's about 500 runners who usually take part in the race, so it's not so big. Maybe it's kind of big for a trail race, but just 500 runners there. And again, sorry if I sound like a broken record, but just you're looking out at the ocean. You're just on these huge peaks. You're looking at, you're looking over cliffs. And it looks like this gorgeous area on this beautiful island, and would be a lot of fun. And I have seen Anna Frost's photos over the years when she's competed in that race, and it looks like it is tough to beat. So that would be my goal race. And guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't know who's going to fund my season because it's a lot of travel to a lot of places.
Your season is the most expensive out. I think I have a pretty cheap season so far,
Yeah.
except for Valencia.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
You may have to take out like a second mortgage on the house, but you'll have
No
great
big deal.
experiences. Stage races and day challenges, although kind of kooky and maybe certainly out of Mr. Sears' comfort zone, and mine as well. It's too bad there's not more of them out there. Like there's one, this is getting really in the weeds here, but there's one in Southern Ontario in Canada where Alex and I live that happened for many years. I don't know if it happens anymore. It was, I call it like the Enduro race, where it was basically like, it happened, I think in the middle, the dead of summer, terrible time to try to like run a lot every day for a week. But it was effectively like what we're describing compressed down into a week. Where it was like on one day you run a 30K, the next day you're doing a like mile on the track, the next day you're doing a 10K, the day after that you're doing a half marathon. There's like a 50K ultra in there, and then the last day is, I believe, a marathon. And
wow,
it's basically like it's kind of like what you see in these endurance races in other sports, like in cycling or even like race car driving or like Le Mans or whatever, where it's like you have to plan out how you're going to achieve this thing. That's sort of like a neat concept. I'm not sure if I'd ever actually want to do it, but it's like a neat challenge. And I like the idea that there's things like that out there.
They're fun because you have to be strategic. Yeah, I buttoned up my goal race. I've got it. So that's it. So now I just have the one that I've got to fall back on, which I agree with you, Michael. I also do not like to do that. But for the purposes of our draft, I'll do it after you continue with your races.
Okay, so I've got my two picks here. So I close things up here. So it doesn't matter which order I take them in, but I will go tune-up race. So my prep race for the Philly Marathon takes place on November 23rd of this year, and I need a prep race. It's maybe a little bit of a reach to go this far back in the season, but I'm going to put it right sort of smack dab in the middle of the training. And I am going to, because Philly is fairly close to home for me and not a big travel weekend and not overly expensive in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to spoil myself a little bit here. I'm going to get in an airplane, and on September 14th weekend, middle of September, I'm going to go over to Copenhagen. I'm going to run the half marathon.
Oh, lovely.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, fast course, beautiful city. I have, from what I've heard, lovely design culture. I'd like to make a trip out of it. So it's a destination race for me. It's checking off a box of a major city, global city that I want to check out. And relatively speedy race with a good field every year. And I think it's usually got a good elite field as well. So it's kind of an exciting race to be a part of. Big race. Nice time of year in Denmark. Relatively cool temperatures. So Copenhagen half is my tune-up race. That's coming, it's like 2 months. So it's 8 or 9 weeks before Philly. But that's where I'm putting it. So.
Okay. He's gonna steal it.
Hold on, I got my second pick. You get to think about it for a second while I make my final.
Hold
pick
your
here.
horses.
Okay.
And my final pick is a backup, which is the fallback plan, which will be Valencia Marathon, December 7th. Oh man, I hope Philly goes well in this make-believe world. I hope Philly goes well, but if it doesn't go well, this gives me 2 weeks. So I think it's probably a good idea to roll right back into a marathon or another event, like with a little bit of a break. So you get a little bit of a reset, but you don't want to do you don't want to be like 6 more weeks of training. Couple of weeks, you get to kind of get back into it again. Mm-hmm. If it didn't go well, presumably maybe you stepped off the course at like 20 miles to save yourself. Getting on an airplane, going to Valencia, going to Spain, lightning fast course, crazy fast field. So it's exciting to be part of that history. Lots of people to run with at different ability levels, and an interesting city to visit as well. So that is my
worst case, you're in
fallback.
Spain. You can hang
Worst
out there in
case,
December and
I'm
escape
Exactly.
Canada.
Exactly.
You're in
Yep.
Spain, can eat amazing food. I actually have one of my athletes running Valencia, and that's why that was almost going to be on my list as well, because I've got it kind of in top of mind, and I want to go back to Spain too. So, okay.
All right. So that's
I've got my
that's
backup.
list. Okay, go.
My backup, I keep trying to get people to come to Costa Rica. So I'm choosing a race here because it's been a long standing race, and a lot of people know about the cloud forest that we have here in Monteverde. And I've mentioned this race a bunch of times. It's called Moon Run, and it's 3 weeks. This year it's in late November. So it's 3 weeks after the Portugal stage race. In case it doesn't go through, I'll be able to rest a little bit, and it'll be 60K. So it will just be, like one of those days that the stage race would have been. And it is a bit different because you don't have you have the vast cloud forest, but it's more of a forest race. So you're running in the forest, not like and you do get some great mountain views as well. But it is just a really classic race here. Tons of people go to it. It's very local, but we do get a couple of international runners who like to come to it every year. So I would say Moon Run, it's my fallback race because I've run it probably about 8 times, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So I'd have that as kind of like my comfort zone. Love this race, love the community, go up and support that area of the country for the weekend. So Moon Run would be my fallback race.
I would like to point out that I just went to the Moon Run website, and one Katelyn Tocci is a photo on the homepage of the website. It's a photo of you running the race. There we go.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Love it.
You
So
know
you
how much
love
I
it.
love the race.
You're a local
It
celebrity.
looks like a really cool race. I have been in
It
that
is.
part of the world, and it is like a magical place to go to. I would consider, if I wasn't so locked in with what I'm doing here, I would consider stealing that, because that is actually quite a cool looking event and a great part of the world. Like a totally neat experience to go to a race like that. Maybe in real life, I might do this race, Katelyn. We got to talk.
I was
We'll
going to
talk
say,
afterwards.
yeah, we'll talk, because I would love for you to come and we can go run this race, and I'll do it too. Whenever you want to run it, I'll run it.
All right, Mr. Sear.
Yeah,
quick left
you
to go?
guys have fun over there. I've decided to not steal your race, Michael.
Yeah, you were looking
I've
at
decided to
Copenhagen.
not
You're like, I
steal.
didn't think of that one, did you?
Well, you know what it is if I was doing a marathon build for the end of October, early November, Copenhagen half would be perfect, but I'm just a little hesitant about doing a half in preparation for another half.
Yes.
I like doing slight under distance in the few weeks before the goal race. And there's also something to be said about doing your local race. Now, I'll take you down a little bit of memory lane real quickly as we wrap up the snake draft. I remember 2019, I moved to Toronto from very small town Canada for the first time. And the day after I moved, the morning of, I stumbled out of my condo and just went for a walk. And I ran into a road race. And I was in probably the lowest point of my running career. I'd had knee surgery. I hadn't really been running seriously for something like almost 18 months. And I was pretty sure that running was behind me. And I see this road race happening down one of the main arteries of Toronto. I think it goes down Bay Street, which is essentially Toronto's Wall Street. They've closed off this street. And I know the runners in the front because I used to race against them. But at that point, I think I'm so far removed from that I could only dream. But wouldn't it be nice if sometime in the future I could enter this exact race and win it in the stages of the biggest city in Canada that still felt like an insane metropolis to me? And that was the Yorkville 5K. And last year I finished 4th. And this year I plan to win it.
Oh,
Hey, oh boy.
So I'm going to do it.
awesome.
And so we'll see.
Throwing it down. I like it. I like it. I like everything about what you just said there. I'm excited for you. What's the date on that?
I think it's September, actually I wrote it down, September 7th or 8th. Looks like it's September 7th.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's
You
a
gotta go
great
and cheer him
pick.
on, Michael.
Okay. Oh, absolutely, I will.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
And I
make
guess
sure
a
I
bit-
take
a bit
photos
about-
of him at the finish line
Yes,
with the grimacing
please.
face.
Please. I would love that. It's always a competitive race. I will go out to win it this year. There are a few runners who could show up and give me a very hard time. Last year, it was a race until the end between 4 of us, and I ended up in 4th. It's just a a fast, flat 5K that does a bit of a square in the downtown of Toronto, and you finish on that Bay Street. It's very well organized. There's some good prize money. It's one of the better road races around Toronto in the year, and it's I think for a lot of people who are doing a marathon or a half, it ends up being the Rust Buster in early September. So it's really fun vibes. Everyone's nervous because no one's raced in a while, and I just kind of love that. So yeah, I've already confirmed I'm doing it this year for sure.
So before we recap our picks here, anything left on the table that you're kind of like a little bit not regretting, but you think is unfortunate that it just didn't get to be selected?
I was thinking about either the New York Marathon or Valencia, but I didn't throw a marathon in there because it didn't make sense with what I was preparing for. But both of those I was kind of toying with it, and they're on my list, and they were backups. But I thought, road marathon doesn't make sense if that's not my main goal this year, because trail has been kind of my goal for the second half of the year.
And the 4 major marathons are on the board. No one picked them. Sydney, Berlin,
Sydney is one.
New York,
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yep, that's right.
I thought someone would engage with those marathon weekends, but
No,
Katelyn's running too long and I'm running too short, and Michael has other plans.
that's right.
Yeah, Berlin is the third week in September. It's just too tight for the planning that I was
Soon.
trying to put together. And part of me is beside myself that I didn't pick New York. It's just such a great experience, but I decided to like stay true to my heart and what I feel right now. And hopefully our audience will reward me for that by saying that my slate was the best. But Boston 10K, which just falls outside of the July 1st, it's the end of June. I had that on a long list before I realized that it was sort of disqualified as like a Rust Buster race. Here's a crazy one that I've noted down as a Rust Buster, which again might fall slightly outside. Oh, when is Western States? I was like, you know what would be crazy and a total curveball is like a Rust Buster for a marathon training build would be like just trying a really friggin' hard 100-miler just for the hell of it.
Yeah, but you need to get in.
Well, that would be it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is in a
That's
parallel
the issue.
universe where somehow I magically get to Western States.
I see.
Yeah. Another one that you've done, Alex, that I would recommend anyone internationally look at is Eastside 10K in Vancouver, September 21st of this year.
That's a fun
Nice
one.
race.
Yeah.
Running in Vancouver. Vancouver is one of the great running cities in the world. That was on my list as well. Okay, guys. So let's recap here. I'll go first here because I got it written down. So my goal race, the Valencia Marathon. No, sorry. My goal race, I screwed this one up already. My goal race is the Philadelphia Marathon. I should know that. November 23rd. My tune-up race for Philly will be the Copenhagen Half, September 14th. My Rust Buster, all the way back on July 4th. Peachtree 10K in Atlanta. And then my backup race, if Philly goes poorly, the Valencia Marathon, December 7th. That's my 4.
Nice.
Okay. I have the Valencia half marathon as my goal race on October 26th. My tune-up race happens 6 weeks before then. Now that I look at it, maybe I would have wanted something closer, but whatever. We're locked in. The Yorkville 5K as my tune-up race on September 7th. Rust Buster before then. Falmouth Road race on August 17th. A nice 7-miler. And then if things go south in Valencia, I'm going to Indianapolis on November 8th.
Nice. Okay. My goal race is the Ultra X in Madeira on November 1st and 2nd, which would be the stage race. My tune-up isn't really a tune-up because it's very far in advance. It's 6 weeks before. It's the Glencoe Marathon Gathering in the Scottish Highlands, which is on September 14th. And then before that, I've got the Cat 100 in Austria, but it's a 50K that I would run. And that is on August 9th. And then my backup is, I don't even want to call it a backup because it is my beautiful moon run here in Monteverde in Costa Rica, which is a 60K, the third week in November.
Wow. Exhausting.
That's a lot of travel points that you're gaining right there. It's a lot of frequent flyer miles you just scored.
It sure is. Yep.
And it's probably going to cost somebody like $50,000 to do all of that. But amazing.
Sponsors, anyone?
Amazing slate of picks. I love any event that's calling itself a gathering. I don't know if I've ever run a gathering. Alex, have you ever run a gathering before?
I don't think so. I've organized my own race during COVID, and that was kind of a gathering.
There you go.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Of less than 50 people, if the Canadian authorities are listening.
Oh, I think we're good. That's in the rear view.
Yeah.
Bad fever dream. Okay, so let us know what you think. Who has the strongest fall running schedule? Which slate do you like the best? Are you more interested in the 2 for the price of 1 ultra experience of a stage race as your goal race, as Katelyn Tocci has selected? Do you like Mr. Sears' all business half marathon, or my well-rounded, high-quality marathon focus slate? Let us know.
Do you really want to run a 10K on Independence Day? No, you don't. Come on.
It's
come
a
on.
rust
Come to Team
buster.
Sear.
Come on.
Come
Yeah.
to Team Sear. Go watch Joey Chestnut eat some hot dogs. That's a lot more fun.
All right. Let us know in the comments on YouTube and also on Spotify, where our podcast is in video and audio format. Do us a favor. If you've gotten this far in the pod, give us a like on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're putting stuff out like a few times a week now. All sorts of fun stuff. Mr. Sear, what do you got? What do you got coming up? We've got some shoe reviews coming up.
We got some shoe reviews. A Hoka racing shoe, the Rocket X3. We've tested Asics's twin shoes, the Metaspeed Tokyo Sky and Edge, which were awesome. We are running in the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel V5, which is a pretty unique shoe. And I've put together a video about setting time goals, why you should and shouldn't do it. And I thought long and hard about it. And it's, I hope the video is helpful, but it was also like a video for myself. So I think I'm going to like watch it on repeat just to convince myself that I believe in what I'm saying. And I'm going to stick true to that over the fall months. And yeah, okay, that's what we got, and a lot more shoe reviews that are coming down the pipeline here.
And we've got some things planned. We're planning for the fall right now. This is going to be the biggest fall ever for us. A lot's going to be going down. I can say with great confidence we will be at the majors this fall in person, covering them, doing a lot of different stuff. So we'll let you in on our plans in the coming weeks on the pod, and as well subscribe to our newsletter that Katelyn, you pilot. It goes out every single day of the week. 250,000 runners subscribe to it now, which is nerve-wracking every time we schedule that thing to send at 5:05 in the morning. It's like, I hope there are no typos. Yeah, so subscribe to our newsletter. We'll put a link in the show notes in the podcast, as well as in the YouTube description for you to subscribe if you don't already. And make sure to give us a rating and review on the podcasting platform of your choice. It helps us connect with other runners like yourself. Until next week, gang, congratulations and good luck on your goal races in this parallel universe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Till next time.